on the way home from my morning commute, dropping the kids off. And today's first culinary demonstration is at noon, and it was the first one that I signed up for this year. It's something to do with pastry from a restaurant at a place called Golden Oak. Golden Oak I thought was a golf course. It's in the place of where, what was that, Osprey Ridge used to be. There's still a golf course. It may even still be called Osprey Ridge. But right next to it is a thing called Golden Oak. Well, it turns out Golden Oak is kind of like Celebration, where it's a Disney-owned kind of Stepford Wives planned community kind of thing, but for the super rich. So it's a small handful of multi-million-dollar mansions for all intents and purposes on Disney property. So apparently they have their own clubhouse and has a restaurant, and several of the culinary demonstrations this year are people from there. Well, I'm at my seats and we're about to start the first culinary demonstration. Well, we're waiting for it to start, and I'm just going to set it to look at the stage, so you'll get what you get, and have to check back on my website for more details. The hostess of the show, she's a chef too. I forget her name, but she's here every year.
That might work.
Let's see. And
That'll work.
this right now is for content, not quality. I actually have a more professional camera, and I didn't want to do it today because each year I pick something I want to learn.
So long as you can get the gist of it, you're all right.
Yeah, I think so. It's funny, this is actually probably too close.
Pardon me?
I said I'm actually probably too close for this.
And
I'm
welcome
getting that
to the
thing.
very first culinary demonstration of the 2016 21st EPCOT International Food Wine Festival. Woohoo, indeed. It is an absolute delight to welcome you here. My name is Pam Smith, and I've been hosting these culinary demos and events here at the EPCOT Food and Wine Festival for too many years to confess. But maybe after a sip or two of Prosecco, I'll go ahead and tell you, I'll tell you now, I've been hosting for all 21 years. I know, chunky. I was able to meet some new friends today and told them, however, and I think you probably assumed this, that I started when I was 12. So as long as you believe that, we're going to get along really, really well. For how many of you is this your very first culinary demo ever, not just the 2016 festival? Wow. Well, welcome. Has anybody been here 20 years? Okay. Just really be so nice, right? It's fantastic. Well, welcome. Again, those of you that are joining us for the very first time, I trust that you will determine that it cannot be your last time, because you will see that we have a really good time here. You get an opportunity to see great chefs put together amazing dishes, and certainly today is no exception. In just a moment, I'm going to be introducing you to Chef Valerie Enters. She comes to us from our fabulous Golden Oak here in the Disney World property. She'll be telling us all about that, and I'll be telling you a little bit about her. She's going to put together, and you have a recipe in front of you, a delightful mini cherry pie. And no one is more prepared and more equipped to teach you how to do mini cherry pies than the very woman who won the National Pie Championship on TV Food Network in 2006. Yes, she's here. So we've got some really fun times ahead. To add to the fun, you have a delicious glass of Zone and Prosecco that is being served to you, something for you to not necessarily pair with your dessert, but something for you to sip and enjoy and learn a little bit about as we go through our delightful time ahead. Valerie will be putting together the dish. You'll have ample time to ask questions about that dish. So as they come to mind, keep them in mind so that we can address those. The recipe is certainly there for you to keep, take notes at will. And best of all, you're going to have an opportunity to taste this dish, and that's going to be happening in just a little bit. So get your taste buds going, and let me tell you a little bit about Chef Valerie Enters. Again, she, as I mentioned before, joins us from our fabulous Golden Oak properties here. Born and raised in Los Angeles, California, she gained her experience baking in a variety of areas across the field, working to help children learn the art of baking, working with Publix, a local grocery store in the southeastern area. It used to be local, now it's all the way up into Tennessee and North Carolina. She was the pastry sous chef at Nickelodeon before she joined the Walt Disney World Company in 2012. And as I said before, she's not only won numerous awards, she has competed on the Food Network Challenge 5 different times. And as I just said, kind of brought home that winning ribbon in 2006. So with that, I'm going to step back, give you an opportunity to give a very warm welcome to Chef Valerie Enters. Hello. Here she is. Woohoo! So good to see you.
How you guys doing today? You excited? You ready? Yeah. I'm excited. I'm ready.
I know, and you bring a friend.
I brought Danielle. Danielle works with me at Golden Oak.
Hello,
She's
everyone.
wonderful.
Yes,
Hello.
fantastic.
We have some more residents here too. Thank you guys for coming. So we're really excited. Danielle also works with me there, and she does have baking and pastry background as well as cooking. And so I said, you need to come help me.
Yes.
And she's a wonderful help. She's
And
very
most importantly,
organized.
she said yes, right?
Exactly. And
How could you not?
it's just really exciting to share the experience together today, and we're happy you guys are all here, and we're thrilled to be able to share with you what we have to show you.
So for those that are with us that don't know about Golden Oak Summer House, do you have a little 30-second elevator speech that tells about how wonderful it is?
Well, 30 seconds is a long time, Pam.
Yes, I know.
But Golden Oak is a luxury resort home area that we have right here on property, that some of the homes are actually situated where you can watch the fireworks from your home. How
Wow.
great would that be, right?
How great
to
would
live
that be
right
indeed.
here, that they love Disney so much that they live right here and have a home right on property. So that's really where we are, and they have a restaurant there for its private dining for the residents.
Only for the residents,
Yes,
correct?
yes, it's called Markham's.
Uh-huh.
And so we both work there, and we get to create just a variety of dishes and desserts together, and it's just really an amazing experience. We really love our job because we get to know, I mean, these guys, they know us. They're friends, you know. It's like we get to always like celebrate different birthdays, make different desserts for their special occasions, maybe an anniversary. They have their birthday parties there. It's just really a phenomenal experience.
Oh, I can only imagine. And from the get-go, part of the design of the restaurant and the experience was to source the highest quality ingredients possible.
Absolutely.
So even in today's recipe, you're not just doing cherries, you're doing Morello cherries.
Exactly, and these are
Yeah.
actually Boron cherries, and they're from France.
Ooh.
So you guys are getting French pastry too.
Yes, that's fantastic. Well, great. Well, how do we begin?
Okay, well, what we're going to start with is I was going to talk just a little bit and let you know, but she told you quite a bit about myself. So, and Cherry Pie, you heard we've had a pretty good relationship, so that's been exciting. The next thing I wanted to tell you about was how we make pie crust. So we're going to start right away, okay? And if you guys have any questions, make sure you save them because I want to answer them when we get to that part, okay?
So before we get started, I think everyone has their
Recipe?
Prosecco,
yeah,
just
Prosecco.
about, am I right? Anybody still missing a glass? Okay, how about raising that glass and let's do an incredible toast, yes my dear, to, again, the 2016 Food and Wine Festival. Thank you for joining us. Cheers.
And Danielle?
I know, Danielle, you've got to have something.
Okay,
We'll work on
here,
that, yes.
I'll let Danielle have the partake first.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so mini cherry pies. Now, is this something you have a particular love for?
Yes, it is. And what happened was originally, because I had competed in the Food Network on gingerbread.
Right.
My best friend and I had heard about the pie contest, which was held right here in Celebration, right? So we said, oh, well, let's go try our hand at it. Why not? That might be fun. And so we decided to, first off, we went there and we started judging.
Oh.
And we got invited to go and judge, and we were sitting at the table, and I'd say, oh, this has a great crust, and that has a great filling, and if you put it together, you'd have a great pie, And they said, oh, you should compete in the competition. I said, me? And they said, yeah, you should. So I said, okay. So we both, that following year, I went to the library and picked every book I could about pie, so that I could study it, because there's a lot of books on pie. You go and look at them. I own quite a few now, but basically, we decided we'll really study it, and then the next year try our hand at it. So we did, and we ended up making about 6 to 8 pies each. And we thought, well, Susan had never made any pie before, and she made tarts. And I said to her, just think, it's a big tart, okay? Like, you can do this. So she ended up making a blueberry pie and got second place.
Oh my goodness.
And then the last pie that was left was cherry, and I thought surely I didn't want anything in cherry because that's really difficult. But as it was, I did. I won first place, and I was just happy because prior, when we had done judging, we were sitting, I don't know if you've ever been to the lake there at Celebration, but we were sitting there, we saw this little golf cart pull up, and this guy had all these baskets. And we're like, wow, look at those gift baskets. And we had basket envy, okay? Big time.
Basket envy.
We said that if we wanted to have a basket, we'd have to compete. We're like, okay, let's do it. So that year she got a basket in second place, and then I had won first place. And it was shocking because there are people who compete every year. I mean, I hope you guys have been able to go there. It's amazing.
No, I'd love to.
A line of people holding their ribbons. This one woman clutching like 5 blue ribbons. And I'm thinking, this is my first time adventure. I was just trying to get a basket, right? And I see her, and I'm actually in my heart, I'm like, oh, I'm so happy for her. Her name is Marlis Riesland. I'm so happy for her. She's going to win because, the odds were stacked against us, right? And then they called my name for Best of Show, and I was just like frozen. And it was so funny because then I said in my mind, it's crazy how your mind works in a stressful situation like that. But I thought to myself, well, I'm the only one named Valerie Enters. I better step forward.
I think this might be me.
Yeah, so that's what happened. And it was.
And you did get a basket.
I did, and not only that, I got another basket because you get a Best of Show basket and a big old check that I still have, and $5,000 in a Whirlpool oven.
Oh my God.
So that I continue next year.
Yes, I am sure that's true.
But we want to get to making some pies so you guys can see some of the secrets, right? You want to make that award-winning pie at home, right? Right. Okay, great. So we're going to start off first, and I'm going to have Danielle help me too. Danielle is going to zest some lemons. I don't know if you've ever used one of these. They're really cool, microplane.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, you have to be careful because you want to put your heart into the pie, not you literally, okay? So do not hurt yourself, okay? So she's going to do the zesting of the lemons. And let me see, I have my recipe right here. And
how many of you do have a microplane for zesting? Okay, good number of you. Those of you that don't, I might heartily suggest that you put it on your holiday shopping list because it is simply the best way to zest.
Right, and you can use a bowl, old-fashioned, just a bowl and a pastry cutter. If that's your way, then that's awesome. And, you're probably just making 1 or 2 pies for your home, and that's okay. But remember, we work in a bakery that we're having to make quite a few, like 150 for you guys today. So we were in mass production, and we ended up using the Robo-Coup. That's what we call it. It's a food processor. So what I'm going to do first, I have everything measured out to make it a little more speedy, and I put shortening in here. Now, if you prefer, you can use all butter. It's just up to you, whatever you like best. But it's best if you have everything cold. And even I know one guy, this is a competition, right? And like I told you, real money, right? So he even put his flour in the fridge. So,
wow.
It's up to you. In Florida, that might be a bad idea, right?
Might not be a bad idea.
Okay, so we're going to throw the shortening in there.
And if we did use all butter rather than the shortening, would we see a different result with the crust?
Yes. You know what? It's a little harder to work with.
Yes.
And if you have hot hands like me, what's a good idea is you can actually take a package of frozen peas and put your hands on it, cool your hands down, work with it pull your hands down. But you know, it just depends on you. And the faster you get at it, the easier it'll be for you.
Because
okay?
if your hands are warm or the butter's warm, it ends up melting it, so you don't get that flakiness to the crust, right?
Because you want the flour to encase the fat. Okay, that's what you want to do. Okay, so we put the shortening in there. We put the butter in there. Now we're going to put the flour in there, which we have. Where's our measuring cup, Danielle? Oh, there it is, right there. We want 2.5 cups, and if you know, like I was saying, we were gearing it towards competition, but you know, don't you want the best anyway, even if it's just going to be for your friends and family? It's not for competition. Well, I actually like to use 1/2 cup of cake flour, you know, like soft as silk or something like that. But today we're just going to use all-purpose. You won't even taste the difference. But if you know they're trying to split hairs to decide who wins, you want to be the one who wins,
You
right?
want to be the one, exactly.
Okay, right.
So you would do, if you had your druthers, like a half cake
Half a cup.
flour?
You can put that on your notes, like a
Okay.
1/2 cup of cake flour, replacing some of that flour that I have on.
Okay.
And there's our salt. And I put powdered sugar. Now another thing you have to remember is that when you're competing, you have to change your recipe 3 times every year because you can't use the same recipe, okay? So we would use kosher salt, and there's a number of salts out there, right? So you can change it up. Okay, now what I do with the liquid, I like to take a container or a bowl, that works, and then I put
Yours is right.
the liquids all together. Where's that water?
I already know it.
Do we have our water up here? Oh yeah, right here.
It's a little bit strange.
One more?
Okay, so we're only going to use a very small amount of water, and I put vinegar in there. That's what I threw in there, okay? Vinegar
Where's
sounds
mine?
really weird,
It's right next to you.
But the thing is, I heard from a friend of mine, you know, I take all kinds of tips. I'm not one that's like, I know what I'm doing. No, because you know what? You might know more than me. So, and if you guys have any ideas, you tell me, you know, because I'll be happy to listen to it. I put vinegar because a friend of mine told me, and it actually shortens the crust, and so I really like that part about it. So we're going to add the water to it.
So I'm using just like the butter, shortening, even flour is cold, the water should be ice water.
Yes, and I have, you can't see down below, but I have a bucket of ice, and I pulled it right out of there, okay?
Okay.
It's not a bad idea to drink it a little later.
Yes.
It's kind of hot outside, right? Okay, and then we're going to add the lemon zest, which my lovely assistant Danielle will do. So we're going to put that right in there. And also juice. So we want to squeeze just a little tiny bit of juice, a tablespoon.
And I loved the fact that you had that little touch of vinegar, but I loved that you had the lemon zest and lemon juice in the crust. Does anybody do that? It's a really, I mean, it's almost my mouth started watering thinking about the cherry, but then that little touch of acidity that's
Right.
coming from the lemon, it just seemed like a perfect combination.
I mean, the reason why we like great food is because think about it. It's balanced. It has like that little bit of, you know, sweet, a little bit of savory, a little bit of saltedness. You know, it's balanced out. So that's what makes food taste great. If you ever eat something too salty or too sweet, you know, right? Because you're kind of like, oh, that wasn't a good experience. Okay, so now we're just going to crack the egg, get a whisk it up. You can help me with that if you don't mind. And then I'm going to do this part while she's whisking that. Don't do like I've done before when you're so excited you forget and you throw all the stuff in together. It does still work, okay? Just don't tell anyone you did it. It's just not as nice, you know, it's not as flaky, but it will work. We don't throw things away, right? Costs too much money, we work too hard for it.
Indeed.
Okay, so we're gonna pour that mixture in there. And you're gonna see how easy it is. Can you see from the mirrors? Yes? Okay, great. I see you over there. Okay, and what we're gonna do, don't go crazy, don't be in such a hurry that you're trying to make it too fast. You're gonna pulse it, okay? Just a little bit at a time. And you're not gonna regret doing it, because if you make sure you do it slowly, when it all comes together, that's when you want it. You don't want it overworked, because it has gluten in it, and you're not making bread.
And you're not counting a certain number of
No,
seconds.
you
You're
just
just
look.
kind
Can
of
you see
looking
how
at it.
nicely it came
So
together?
We'll come back into
It's
it with
nice
the
and-
camera. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
It's nice and happy
So
now.
you just kind of wait for it to start coming together a bit.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then what you want to do is you want to take it And be careful because there is a knife in there, okay? Don't kid yourself. Okay, so now I have all that together. Now, you have to remember another thing, is that flour is also sensitive to the moisture in the air. So even though I gave you specific ingredients and amounts, you're gonna have to watch more, and that's okay, you know? The pie police will not come get you. I promise. We actually had pie police at the festival, and they would guard the never-ending pie buffet. Because people tried to get in, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, let me get my little bench scraper. Okay. And then we set that there. We still need the flour. Okay, so what you want to do ideally is you want to take this and you want to put it in your fridge. But because I don't want to make you wait an hour, we're just going to use it, okay? So in other words, there's times where I'd actually just used it also. I'm making it nice and happy, putting a little bit of flour so it doesn't stick.
But under normal situations,
You
you
would
would
chill it.
want to get it into even your freezer to let it chill
You can
quickly.
do it in your freezer, absolutely.
Okay.
And also you can make it the day before, okay? When you're feeling like, oh, I might want to make some pies tomorrow. Okay, so there's your pie crust. And then now what we're going to do is we can move this over and flip it. We can use this as our counter because we don't want to get flour everywhere. Oh yes, how many of you have used mason jars? How many of you have used mason jar lids? There's probably only a third of you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and have Danielle pass it around. So you
Okay.
guys can actually look at it, touch it, check it out. And you're going to see what I did with these is I took them, there's a rubbery side. I made sure to set that part down because you don't want to have the rubber connecting to your pie crust, okay? So you guys feel like you're learning? Feel like you're getting stuff? Okay, cool. Because I've been coming to these demos forever, and it was my dream to come here and to have Pam be my MC and have Danielle here too. So we're just so excited to be here with you guys, and we want to make sure you're learning. Okay, so we're going to take the flour. We're going to spread it out just a tiny bit. Take that bench scraper again. Do we have it still? Bench scraper. There we go. And then we're going to very gently, because this is a very soft dough. In fact, see, I like you guys to touch things. That's why I'm passing it around. And if it grosses you out to touch things after other people do, I get it. It's okay. But if you want to, you can at least feel this dough. It is very soft. Okay? And the reason why you want it soft is then it's going to make nice, tender, flaky crust. Okay?
Would
If
you like
it's
to
really
try the,
hard, something went wrong. Okay?
Right.
Don't use it. Okay, so we're going to take this.
I'm not
I have-
And if something's gone wrong, is your
Just
best
start
bet just to
over.
start
Just
over.
start
So just
over.
don't try to fix it and
No.
say, well, maybe I should put it in the
Yeah,
freezer.
absolutely.
Okay.
So see, and the thing is, I've worked with cakes. I've been doing cakes like almost 17 years. So I work with fondant and all that. So that's how I can handle some of this stuff. But this would kind of be a challenge for some of you to be rolling out. And that's okay. You know, it's just experience and time. So if you're able to do it, great. If you can't, put it in the fridge. It's okay. Okay, I'm using what we use in the bakery for ring. It's called a ring. And we like to put stuff in. Oh, we can make anything from a mousse to, oh, I don't know. We've done all just different applications, cheesecakes. But I'm going to take this one because it's nice and big. And then I actually roll it out just a tiny bit. And you want to make sure you spray that mason lid, okay? Because if you don't, it won't come out. Ask me how I know.
do you want
Okay.
to try
All
the
right,
dough?
so I sprayed it.
And you said that you turn the plastic side down?
Yes, ma'am.
Or the rubber?
Yes, so that it'll adhere to the.
Okay.
You see how you just push it in a little bit like
Yeah.
that? And you can even just put that in the fridge for a minute, and we're gonna make our cherry filling. And I'm gonna wash my hands real quick.
Great.
We can put the rest in here, and Danielle, you can cut my lid, yeah? We're a team.
A
Glued
great
together.
team. I like
Yep,
it.
It's awesome. It's great when you have the same passion, you can share that, you know, when you're at work. It's great. Okay, can I wash my hands here?
Uh-huh. I love this cute little roller. That's just is that just adorable? I think when you're doing such a small little,
Oh yeah, it's perfect for fondant work and that sort of thing. This thing is perfect for
Yeah,
it. You want
perfect.
something that's all the way the same. That way it rolls out evenly.
Okay,
Yeah.
and professional pastry chefs tend to use
Wanna make
those
our lid?
without the handles, like many of us have, right? Because you
Okay.
can control it better.
Now, how do we turn this on, then?
Just like this.
She's the magic lady. She's got the keys.
And first time I'm turning it on, so we'll see this year.
I've seen people get scared at this part. I was tempted to bring an induction burner. I was like,
no, you
I'm not
were
going to waste this beautiful
No.
stove here.
This is a
I might have to take it
induction burner.
home.
Do you want high heat?
I want medium,
Medium,
please.
okay, great.
But this is going to come together so fast, you're going to be amazed. How many of you have used cherry pie filling in a can? Yeah, it has that little bit of a metallic taste,
It
right?
does, it
Not
does.
so good. But you know what? It's so easy to make this at home. You're going to kick the cans goodbye because these are going to be amazing cherries, okay? You should be starting to get to try it. I hope you like it.
Has everyone gotten a taste? Yes, and love.
So
You
these are
see
Morello
why
cherries.
could
You
win?
like it?
Yes.
Is it award winning to you?
Award
All
winning,
right,
exactly.
all right, I like that. Okay, and what's funny is the story behind, there's a store that just opened up. I don't think I'm supposed to be able to say their name, so I'm not gonna. But I'll tell you, they just opened up in the Central Florida area, originally from California, and that's where I'm from. So I grew up using their products. So when I looked in Cooks Illustrated, it talked about using Morello cherries, and they came in a jar imported from Germany. So when I went home for a baby shower, because they fly me home to make a cake, okay? You think it's to see me? No, make a cake. Okay, so when I went home, I bought some of the cherries and I brought them home, and those are the ones I used and I won with. And it was really exciting. So you can get them, and maybe when you talk to me, I might slip and let you know where I get them. But these are actually imported from France, okay?
And they come frozen?
Yes, they come frozen. So
And
now we
you
have
thaw them
Yes.
before you use them, okay?
Yes, ma'am. And the humidity out there helped us today. It thawed them really fast. Okay, we doing good on our time?
We are doing great.
Okay, great. So now I'm going to get the rest of my stuff over here. Excuse me. Okay, now another thing I want to teach you about thickeners. Okay, and you're going to want, especially, to pay attention to some of the things I'm saying because at the end there's some incentive. I'll just leave it
An
at that.
incentive.
Okay, I'll leave it at that.
With that incentive, maybe
Okay.
you start with a P for
Yeah.
prize.
Does anybody like to win prizes? I'm just a little competitive, right? Okay, yeah.
Just a little.
Yeah,
yes.
just a little, right? And you know, my latest thing has been Pokemon.
Oh, you're into Pokemon.
And I've been walking so that I could lose weight, and I lost 11 pounds.
Wow.
Level 30.
You and Pokemon,
Caught
yeah.
every single one you can catch in the United States, okay? I'd have to travel like China or something in order to get the other ones, but I think I'm probably going to stay put. So I like Golden Oak too much. Okay, so here's our sugar. It's a cup of sugar. And you'll notice I separated the sugar with another batch of sugar because we added the pectin. How many of you have made jams before? Yes, exactly. So you know the secret, right? You make sure to get it into a nice rolling boil, and then you add it with the pectin, because what happens if you put the pectin in by itself? Not so good, right? It's not going to be pie worthy. So you probably want it a little higher, Pam.
Okay, a little higher.
Yes, please. And another thing, you see this is letting off a lot of juice. You're welcome to strain it. You can ask my beautiful assistant here. She's strained our filling. The reason why it's important, especially with these pies, you can tell there's not a lot of room for the filling to go, right? So it can really bleed out. And so you don't want too much of that. A little bit's okay, especially if you cover with ice cream. They're not going to complain. But you know,
No one ever
but
complains
you
with
just
ice
don't
cream.
want to
right?
have too much of that. So you want to reduce how much your juice is, okay? So you might even have to strain some of that off before you actually use it. Or if you use gloves, you can kind of squeeze that filling as you're putting it in those little crevices. If you're using a big pie, a big deep dish, or you're making a crumble top, it's not going to make any difference. You might like it more juicy, but for this purpose, you're going to want to keep the juice to the middle. Okay? All right, so we already put our sugar in there, and now we want to we have another lemon. We have more juice, because you just can't have too much citrus in Florida, right? In Florida, we have the oranges, we have key limes, we have, so you want to just, amp it up a little bit. So I have in here is my pectin and sugar mixed together. We're just waiting for this to come up a little bit. We're going to add our almond extract also. And don't go too crazy, okay? Just like a little half teaspoon. It says it on your, yep, it says
Just a little half
teaspoon.
teaspoon,
Yeah, a
exactly.
little half teaspoon, because you don't want, is it right here? You don't want it to overpower it, okay? And also remember, your people who have nut allergies, you don't want to use it. Okay, you love them too much. You don't want something to happen. So you
Okay.
can omit that. You can even use lemon juice and vanilla if you like. Okay. So we're just going to put a little. We'll just do. Where's our measure? We have deli spoons.
But when it comes to almond extract,
There
a
we go,
little is
there we
not
go,
always
there we go.
better, right?
Yes, just a tiny bit,
Or
because you don't
more
want
is
it to
not always
sound
better.
like medicinal.
Right.
You know, it can taste really not so good.
Of course, I have to tell you, I've never quite bought almond extract in that large of a container. How about you all?
It kind of come that way for us. But it smells heavenly. It smells so good, you want to taste it, but don't. Ask me why. I know. I mean, smell it. Open it up. But
Yeah.
really, it smells so phenomenal. Okay. Not if you
it
can smell
does.
those cherries yet. They're coming up. Okay. So now we're going to do our lemon juice, and we have our strainer.
Yes, right underneath.
Okay, perfect. We only have one other juicer at work, and I didn't want to be the girl who took it.
Oh, good.
Where did the juicer go? Valerie, she took it. Okay, and also we can use zest too, or not. It just depends. You want to zest some more for me a little bit? Okay. See how it's bubbling up? Now it's ready for the pectin. And remember too, you know, fruit, it's not always the same, right? Sometimes you're going to have it a little sweeter. Sometimes you're going to have it a little bit not so sweet. So you want to taste it. That's really important. If you're able to taste your stuff, you're going to know what you need to do. And sometimes even the lemons, they don't really come through. So you're like, okay, I got to use a little more. Yeah, it tastes balanced to me.
Okay.
I'll let you
Alright,
taste
now
it.
how about with
Nothing a
lemon
little
zest?
zest won't make better, though.
No, and you can also use kirsch if you like. Just saying.
Oh, wow. Well, that's delicious.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add the sugar and pectin. And sometimes you don't need as much sugar, so you got to be careful when you're watching it. Now you can buy the pectin that's liquid form also. Just play with it. You can't really go wrong. You just got to watch and make sure it's getting thick and that you're happy with how it looks. I have used arrowroot, cornstarch, tapioca. I had one time when the cameramen, they were zooming in on the pie, they're like, how do you make it shine on the outside and the inside? The outside was apricot glaze and the inside was tapioca. But you can't make the recipe the same every year, so you gotta kind of try out different
Even if you have
things.
perfection, right?
Exactly, and you know, that's the challenge, right? Because if you made it really well one year, can you make it again that year?
Yes, yes.
And I did win repeat first places for it, but after a while, I mean, 8 years of competition, it was time to hang up that hat.
We want to have it down.
Yeah, we're going to turn it down
Take
a
it
little
to
bit. See how it's nice and
now.
happy and bubbly?
So let it come to a nice bubble, and then you just want to bring it down until it
Yes,
starts
ma'am.
to thicken.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and then what we're going to do is we have another pie pan here, or sheet pan right here. Let's take this stuff off there. And what I'm going to do is put a piece of parchment on there. Now you can use whatever you have. And what I want to do is bring this down, because usually, you know, we're impatient, right? We want it now. We don't want to wait hours. We don't want to wait days. So take this. You can turn it off now. Here.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. See how nice and thick that is?
Oh, beautiful.
Okay, and be careful because it will burn on the bottom. You have to keep it happy. Okay, so I'm going to strain a little bit of it like this, okay? And then what I'm doing is I'm laying it out on a flat surface so it'll cool off. Okay?
Oh.
You guys have any questions? Anybody?
Any questions about what you've seen Valerie do so far?
Is it clear? Okay,
Yes.
yes, ma'am?
Are the cherries sweet or are they sour?
They're more of a sour cherry.
So kind of like a Michigan tart cherry?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, a girl who competed fiercely against me is from Michigan, and now she owns own pie shops up in Michigan, which, you know what, that's wonderful, and it's exciting, all the different people we got to meet and all the different challenges we faced together, and to see, you know, what you would do differently, like putting dried cherries in there, you know, or maybe using frozen. Now, the guy who went with the maraschino, I thought he went a little too far.
Oh,
Just saying.
oh,
Just saying. That was a little.
oh, that does not sound good. Yes.
I feel validated now.
Good. I'm so glad.
Okay, so now we're going to get another spoon. And for the sake of television, we are going to do this now.
Oh, yeah, but you can see it nice and thick.
Hopefully it won't melt the pie crust. We just want to make sure you guys get to see a finished
So
one.
that's why you're trying to
Take our
cool it a bit.
pie
is-
crust.
Yes.
Yeah, because we want it to be cooled down.
Right.
Okay, so just, I should try to do it over here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move this stuff, please. Okay, and what Danielle, if you can make an egg wash for me real quick,
Yeah.
that'd be amazing. Now an egg wash is just basically whole eggs, and you just whisk them up. Take a little pastry brush, you're gonna brush it around. That seals it in, okay? Because who wants to have it all drippy all over? You want the juices to stay inside for the most part, right? So we're gonna go ahead and take some of this. See how nice and thick it is? It's not too much, and I'm not getting too much of that juice either, because I really don't want it to bleed all over.
Right.
The first time I did it, everybody's like, oh, these are great. And I'm like, but they're bleeding. I didn't like that look. To me, it was not show worthy. So hopefully most of you guys got pretty pies today.
Yes,
They're
they're
gone, so we
beautiful.
don't need the evidence. Okay. And now we're going to brush the edges. Now this is where it matters. You have to make sure to get the details, okay? So I have the pie right here. We're gonna brush it around the edges. You can also brush them before you fill them. If you're doing a lot, that matters. Okay, and then Danielle made a nice little crust press. But before you put on the lid, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna cut the X now. Because who wants to cut it and get that bloody looking cherry coming through? That's gross, right? So we're gonna do an X. And then we're gonna put it on there. Then we're going to squeeze around the edges. Can you see?
Mm-hmm.
Squeeze around the edges, sealing it nicely. And then I take this fancy pair of scissors. I use it only for food. And then I cut it around the edge. And now the next part. Okay, my best friend Susan, she's hilarious. Because she was competing with me. We did this year after year, okay? And she won the whole National Pie Championship too, 6 years after I did. So that was just really awesome, right?
Wow,
We have like
yes.
matching trophies. And checks.
And baskets. And don't
checks
forget
and
the baskets.
baskets.
The baskets
for
are
real.
it. Yes.
Yes. Okay, so she didn't want them to say, oh, Valerie taught you how to do the pie crust. So she went on YouTube and she taught herself. I said, you can ask me, I don't mind. And she said, no, I want to do it myself. I said, well, good for you. So this is the way I like to do it on here. You take your 2 fingers and you take this finger, okay? And you just push. And you turn it and push. Now there are other ways to do this, but if you want them to look consistent, this seemed to work. And then what you want to do is you want to brush the top with egg wash, okay? The same egg wash she made me. Just be careful of that little hole. And then we put coarse sugar, which is the finishing touch, the sprinkling fairy dust that we like here at Disney. And I like to put it all over the top. Did any of you notice that there was sugar? Doesn't it add that nice
That
little
texture,
crunch?
almost a crunch.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, it's all in the details because you know when you want to make something that's wonderful for your family, they know. They can tell that extra love that went in it because you put all those details in it. So that's how you make cherry pie.
Wow.
Now
so
you clap.
beautiful. I love it.
Okay, so what I want to do now is ask you some questions because I brought prizes.
Oh.
But first off, the
Yes.
element of surprise. Under 2 of your seats is a little sign that says winner.
Oh.
So, and if you're sitting next to the chair, you can clamor for it. That's okay.
Clamor. I love it. Clamor, clamor. How far under the seat? Do they need to get
It
out
is
of their
stuck.
seats?
It is, did you win? Good for you.
There's one.
Who else? Somebody else won.
I love it. Winner.
Now you know I have 2 more demos on Sunday and Monday. But if I see you guys crawling around on the floor, I know you're trying to cheat, okay?
Okay.
So, Danielle, you can help me? Well, yeah, I want to show you what it is because, you know, everybody's going to want to know what you win, what you win. Okay, because I like to do crafts, I took wine corks that were actually from Golden Oak, from bottles opened and drank and consumed. All different types of wine. And one of my favorites is gogi wine, and that's because Kurt Russell came and he did a wonderful dinner, and we got to meet him, and it was really amazing. And what's cool, you know, think about him. He can pretty much get anything, right? But what he got from us was an experience of having his fine wines with a wonderful meal that was mashed together, and that was an experience. And he couldn't get that anywhere else except where we were, right, in Golden Oak. So that was just really cool. So anyway, I have 2 of these. Now, don't be sad yet. I have more
winner
presents.
though. So
I
far,
have
oh,
2.
there we go. Number 2. All right.
Yes.
Right
Yes,
back
yes,
here,
yes.
the beautiful blue.
There you
and
go.
here,
So
yes.
Danielle's going to get that to you. And it's in a Golden Oak bag. Just saying.
Even better still. That's great.
Okay, so I have some questions now because, you know, I was on the spot, right? So now it's your turn. Okay, I want to know who can tell me what are 3 thickeners that I've used before. Yes, in the blue. Yes, okay.
Okay.
We have this
Cornstarch,
for you.
arrowroot, and pectin.
We
Okay.
have a Mr. Pot Simpson for you.
Oh.
Okay,
Try.
and who can name more than one of the competitions I've been in? Not my family over there in the purple. Yes? At Celebration, that's 1. You have to say 2. Yes? There you go.
All right. Celebration.
Okay,
Food
and you're
Network.
going to
Woohoo.
get, it's one of the 7 dwarf Simpsons. There we go. Okay, now cover your badge, miss. What's my lovely assistant's name? Yes, you get
All
one too.
right.
Okay, you get a stormtrooper. So.
Oh.
Okay, well, I hope you guys have had a wonderful time. I know I have.
Valerie enters and lovely Danielle, indeed.
You guys have any questions?
We've got a few minutes. Questions about the pie? Yes. Will
This
the
will
same
work.
recipe work
Yes.
for a big pie? What
Yes,
would you do
ma'am.
different?
Really nothing different. Oh, the other thing I like to do too, which I didn't do here, was I like to put butter before I put the crust on. And if you see that your whoever's made jam, they know this. If you see your fruit start foaming, just a little bit of butter, that'll bring it right down. So it's wonderful. Okay, yes? Yes.
Do you have to be a resident?
You pretty much have to be a resident to come to
Or a
Golden Oak.
friend
Yes.
of a resident.
Or a
So
friend of
yes.
me, you know, that might work.
So did I hear that? Did I hear there's some people here from the beautiful?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So get to know them very well. Yes. New forever friends.
Yes? I would just add it and not cook it too long because, you know, at the end, unless you want the alcohol to evaporate, it's up to you. But you can, you know, drain some of the cherries. You see how there is quite a bit of liquid here? Mm-hmm. Okay, so basically you can strain it before you thicken it, but you have to make sure there's enough water in order to thicken it too. So just kind of watch to see how much, you know, you maybe take out a 1/4 cup. Because, you know, but it does make a lovely flavor.
And do you add it right at the end?
Yes, I would.
So again, you
Yes.
don't want to necessarily cook out the alcohol.
Yes? Yes.
If you make a big pie, how would you adjust the cooking time?
I have a really easy answer for that. If you look on foodnetwork.com, you'll see my name and you'll see my recipe there. And there's
Really?
exactly, and there's other pie recipes too.
It's awesome.
So you can, you know, I mean, just so you know, because it's easy access. And there's another one that I really love to make with strawberry rhubarb. You
Oh,
did very well with
my
that. And that would
favorite,
work in
yes.
this application. And there's, Publix does sell rhubarb in the freezer too. So if you're having a hard time finding it. Yes? You have a question?
Oh.
Yes, sir?
Yeah, what's your favorite or go-to thickener and why?
What's your favorite go-to thickener and why?
I've really fallen in love with pectin, and it's because it's consistent. And this is actually, we can show them, it's actually made from apples, so it's a natural pectin. You know, so that I really like. And it's not an animal pectin, so your friends who are vegan, you don't need to be concerned, you know.
Great.
Yes?
Good
Yes,
reason.
in the pink? Oh no, you use it again and again. Just watch it. You know, if the paint starts chipping, you probably should throw it out.
Yeah. So if you didn't hear that, do you have to dispose of the mason jar lid after you've baked it? And the answer is absolutely not. Just run it through the dishwasher, but make sure you spray it
Yes, that's
ahead of
really
time. It
important.
really is. Even though you think there's so much butter shortening already in the crust, surely it won't stick.
spray it. Yes. Yes, very much.
Yes,
We're-
ma'am. Honestly, I don't know the answer to that, but I know that gelatin is different than pectin. So gelatin would be more like the Knox product that we use more in mousse, or we use more in, panna cotta type thing. So we don't really use it for that. It will not thicken your pie. It'll make you sad.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. And yeah, make you very sad. Yes.
You can ask me how I know.
Yeah, but
I tried to do one.
pectin, because it's part of apples, is considered a prebiotic. It's one of the things that feeds the healthy bacteria. So it's a very natural and really great product. So
That's really
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, like
I love learning from you.
Well, I like learning from
Yeah,
you.
I have
It's
fun.
perfect. I know.
Okay, yes.
Another question. Yes.
I said later when you come see me. Because they're not sponsoring us, and so
That's
it's
okay.
Not,
We can tell.
we can tell
We can
Trader
definitely-
Joe's.
Trader Joe's. Okay. Thank you.
I know. I have a great little tiny story if we
Yes.
have a minute.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so Crisco, because they were the sponsor of the contest, right? They
Now
decided,
she's throwing brand
they were
names
gonna-
out like there's no tomorrow.
But they flew us. They flew us to New York to try their zero trans fat
Oh,
product, so that we
really?
could, so that they could see how it worked. And there was another lady who had won the national pie championship from Nebraska. Her name's Phyllis, and so we both got flown in together from different places, and we are there in New York at ICE, at the college there, ICE. Okay, and so then it was so funny because she's a competitor, right? But we had this guy who was a taxi, and he came pick us up on the way back. And I'm like, okay, I really need to stop at Trader Joe's because they didn't have one down here. I'm like, I need to get some cherries, and it's for a competition. And the guy started giving me a hard time. She says, listen, you're gonna stop, and you're gonna stop right now. And I'm like, well, thank you. and then I go inside. It was a new store, and the line was huge. And I said, oh my goodness, how am I gonna get my cherries? I go, okay, I gotta go in the mode. So I went up to the front. And I said, I'm really sorry. I never do this, but I just won the national pie championship with your cherries, and my plane is leaving. Can I please buy a case? They got, hey, they got the empty wine bottle cases, the wine cases, and they filled the whole case and pay here. I was out, and I was like, ooh, that was amazing.
I thought you were going to have to get Phyllis in to use her Nebraska
I
stuff to
would've.
make it
I
happen.
would have if I had to. I would have. It was just amazing. But anyway, yeah, Trader Joe's. Was
Okay.
amazing.
Good to know. How about a huge thank you to Chef Valerie Winters,
guys.
Danielle.
Thank
Thank you so very much. And thank you all for joining us. As I said, we're very excited here, our very first demo, but more to come. Actually, at 2 o'clock right here, we're going to have Chef Albert Ravello, and he comes to us from Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater, and he's doing these awesome crab leg tempura. It's really going to be fantastic, served with our festival Chardonnay. So hopefully we will see you then. I'll be going right around the corner to introduce you to a taste of some delicious wines coming to us from Robert Mondavi. And that's our beverage seminar. If you've not gotten one of our programs to see all that's going on here, our guest relations area is right at the front as you walked in. They can give you kind of a good bird's eye view of what's going on in this really amazing festival. So have a really fantastic day. Have a huge thank you to Richard back here who's helped us as well. Our fabulous crew. We'll see you soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Well, that was it, first one, and looking forward to many more. But for now, I'm out.